Topps once dumped thousands of cards straight into the ocean. It sounds like a hobby folklore, but the truth behind it might surprise you. What really happened in 1960, and why did Topps destroy their own card? Let's dive into the mystery that shaped the entire collecting world. 1952 is a landmark year for Topps, the year they changed baseball cards forever. They went all in with their biggest project yet, a massive 407 card set, packed with color portraits, full player stats, and even facsimile autographs printed right on the front. It was everything a kid could want, at least at first. Topps rolled the cards out in waves, series by series, through the spring and summer. The early numbers flew off store shelves as kids chased stars like Jackie Robinson and Willie Mays. But by the time the final series hit, cards 311 through 407, it was already late September. The leaves were changing, school was back in session, and baseball season was all but over. Suddenly, those late season high number cards were yesterday's news. They sat unsold in store shelves, and soon in boxes stacked inside Topps warehouses. Thousands of them, waiting for a fate no one could have even imagined. Those unsold boxes sat for years, buried deep in Topps' Brooklyn warehouse. Thousands upon thousands of cards from the final 1952 series, stacked and forgotten. By 1960, space was running out. Topps had moved on to newer sets, and no one wanted the leftovers from a failed year. So, as the story goes, a company executive, most say it was Cy Berger himself, made a decision. Rather than pay to ship or store them, Topps loaded case after case of those old cards onto a garbage barge headed towards the Atlantic Ocean. Somewhere off the coast of New York, they were dumped, box after box, disappearing underneath the waves of the Atlantic Ocean. At the time, no one thought twice about it. They were just unsold cards from a forgotten season. But buried inside those cases was a card that would one day define an entire hobby. Card number 311, Mickey Mantle. The same card that collectors would spend decades chasing, worth thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars, now lies somewhere on the ocean floor. What was once unwanted cardboard had suddenly become legend. Now, for decades, the so-called Topps ocean dump sounded like a hobby legend, one of those stories passed down at card shows and whispered between collectors. Thousands of mantles lost at sea. It seemed too wild to be true. But over the years, fragments of truth began to surface. Topps employees who worked in the Brooklyn warehouse during the 1950s later confirmed the story. They remembered truckloads of unsold 52 cases being hauled away and destroyed. Some by incinerator, others, according to multiple accounts, taken to a barge and dumped offshore. Now, there's no surviving photo of that moment, no shipping log, no official record, only memories. But the consistency of those recollections give the story weight. Hobby historians and even former top executives have echoed the same details, that by 1960 the company needed warehouse space, and the cheapest solution was to get rid of the old stock. Whether those cards were burned, buried, or really sent into the Atlantic, one thing's clear: they were gone. And that loss, real or mythical, helped turn the 1952 Topps high numbers into something greater than a set of baseball cards. It made them relics of a vanished moment in hobby history. For decades, the 1952 Topps high number series was a ghost. Collectors whispered about them, but few had ever seen one. Most assumed they were gone, victims of that mysterious ocean dump. Then, little by little, they resurfaced. A mantle here, a campanella there, rescued from attics and old collections. The cards Topps once couldn't give away had become the stuff of legend. Because of that scarcity, whether from an actual dump or a simple low production, Mickey Mantle's card number 311 became the hobby's holy grail. It's now the symbol of the vintage boom. In 2022, one near-perfect mantle sold for $12.6 million, the highest price ever paid for a sports card. Even unopened packs of 52 Topps have fetched well over $90,000. The irony? Those same boxes sat unsold in a Brooklyn warehouse waiting to be thrown away. That single decision to cut their losses ended up cementing Topps' place in history. The set they tried to forget about became the one that the hobby would never stop chasing. When you think about it, the 52 Topps set wasn't just a turning point for baseball cards. It was a reminder that even the biggest mistakes can become legends. Topps could have never guessed that dumping unsold boxes, maybe even those Mickey Mantles, would one day create the most iconic card in the world. Today, that story still echoes through the hobby. Every collector has that one card they wish they hadn't let go of, that one piece of cardboard that got away. So what about you? Do you believe the ocean dump really happened? And just imagine if you could have saved one of those boxes from that warehouse in Brooklyn in 1952. Please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your take on this. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe for more forgotten tales from the history of the hobby, where every card has a story, and sometimes even the ones at the bottom of the ocean still find a way to resurface as we go beyond the cardboard.